Chaff. Coming up this week, it's busted.
It is busted. All right, that's fair. All right, easy explanation. I love that. You know, wake up in the morning to that beautiful face. Sacrifice one of my children to make them a little stronger.
But you're not soaking in Nadu summer. The bird is the word over here.
I know, I'm really upset because I'm a big birder.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to Draft Chaff. This is episode 207. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, and coming at me live is Tyler. What's up, dude?
Hanging in there, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. We just had a bit of an arena kerfuffle. Patrons, listen to the pre-show this week. It was nuts. Apparently, the direct challenge mode doesn't work on there. We were trying to jam some arena cube against each other, but
average arena technical issues.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got our format farewell to glorious MH3 this week. Feels like it just showed up and now it's already on the way out. We've got Bloomburrow coming up next week. Format breakdown incoming. That'll be a fun one with all these cute animals everywhere. But it's time to bid farewell to, honestly, a pretty great set.
Yeah, I mean, this has honestly been one of my favorite sets as of recent. You know, it's felt very strong, very fair. Like, there's no one vector that felt too powerful. I'm happy with it. I'm going to miss it. My wallet's not going to miss it, but I'll personally miss it.
Don't worry. When I get those boxes in, we'll be able to draft it all over again.
There we go.
Couple reminders here. Don't forget to hop in Discord. Lots of cool stuff happening there. We're always talking about what we're drafting, what we're playing in other formats. I mean, most recently it has been now Arena Cube, but MH3 is still pretty popular, I would say. And also, you might have noticed that in Gen Chat, a lot of people are talking about their favorite Magic cards. There's a reason for that. If you remember, we have the One Ring giveaway going. That's going to run all the way through the week after the Bloomburrow format breakdown. So the week of release. If you want to win yourself a copy of the One Ring, it's the bundle promo. I'm also going to mail the Sam, Frodo, and Gollum because, you know, they got to stay together. If you're interested in winning a copy of the One Ring, all you got to do is hop in Discord, hop in Gen Chat, and tell us what's your favorite Magic card. Tell us a story, something that goes along with it, maybe like a personal reason behind it. But we have a ton of entrants already. And, well, honestly, I've loved having everyone hop in and say their favorite cards. Patrons, thank you. As always, y'all are the best. We actually have a shout out this week. Feynman's Homeboy. Thanks to our newest patron. I don't know if your name is just a reference, but if you want to talk particle physics, just let me know. And as always, thanks to all of our patrons. Y'all make the show possible. For 25 cents a week, you can support this show. Less than a coffee a month. I think we're probably worth that.
This sounds like a terrible Glocklin ad. What are you doing for 25 cents a week?
Sad weepy music in the background and throw some cute puppies on the screen and all that. But yeah, honestly, patrons, they really make this possible. For those that wonder, I mean, the editing software that goes into making this show, it does cost money, and it's cumulative upkeep, you would say. It's subscription based. So our patrons, you've been helping us actually make the show, and I think that means a lot to us. Making the show isn't the easiest task, right? But patrons, you honestly make it possible. And of course, there's always the perks that come along with being a patron. You get the behind the scenes pre-show footage, access to the show notes, and other cool stuff in there, such as our stickers, which are coming out. And I'm sure whatever the cutest animal that winds up as a Draft Chaff hero from Bloomburrow is going to make a killer sticker. And don't forget, bounty boards are coming back soon. We'll keep an eye out for those. I think we already have an idea of one, right, Tyler?
Oh, man, I'm excited. This is my first format breakdown with you, so I've already been tinkering with ideas and stuff like that. Yeah, Bloomburrow mechanics seem pretty fun. Some fun things we could put together for it.
Let's hop on into our crack-a-draft type thing. This week, we've got a pack one, pick one from Arena Cube. This is a pack that I actually opened just this afternoon, and, well, it has a lot of good directions, but the power level across it is pretty flat, so it's sort of like a choose your own adventure type of thing. I'm curious to hear what the listener thinks about this one, too, in Discord. Let us know, because I think there's actually many justifiable picks for this pack. Running through first, we've got Play with Fire. Solid kill spell, good red burn. We've got 6, as in Ren End, Showdown of the Scalds, Sentinel of the Nameless City, Sapphire Collector. This is that, it's like the arena, what is it? The Alchemy.
Alchemy, yeah, I think Alchemy 2024. You're getting the Power 9.
Yeah, I don't know what it does, though. It like makes a Mox Sapphire somehow?
It does, yeah. Each there's collectors for each of the moxes. Each has a different way to set it off. Don't remember how Sapphire does. Probably something to do with instants and sorceries.
Probably. That makes sense. That is fun. I have actually come around on Oracle of the Alpha, I'll admit. I think that card is really fun in Arena Cube specifically. I should mention, though, it's because it lets me play with good paper Magic cards, not lets me play with their digital designs. I think that's a fun distinction. But we've got Reckoner Bankbuster, Nissa Who Shakes the World, Murderous Rider. Anything sticking out to you so far?
I mean, I love green cards, especially in these cubes. You know, you kind of want to play the big cards. I love Nissa. Double your forest. Rankener Bankbuster is also a great card. It's probably a good pack one, pick one. You know, it's not forcing us to a specific color. Draws us cards. It sets itself up to be crude late game. I don't know. This set is. I have such a hard time with these cubes because I want to take everything. I have such a hard time narrowing it down.
Yeah. I actually like those picks out of this. Nissa was one of the cards that I was debating taking. I had her selected, but then I ended up taking a card we haven't talked about yet. We'll get there. Horned Lock Whale is coming up. Glissa Sunslayer, Wormcoil Engine. I don't know how they collate these packs, but I noticed that it's common, and then it was all rares, and then we have a couple mythics left after Wormcoil. We've got Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. That's a 5e, 5 fairy. I don't know, whatever. Shivan Devastator, the Hydra Dragon. Elish Norn, the straight up 4-cost 3/5/1. And Crashing Footfalls, which I don't know if there's any. I guess there's some Cascade stuff, but it'd be hard to make it, like a reliable Cascade deck. Yeah. I slammed Teferi after.
Really?
Yeah, after some thought. I was between Nissa, Teferi, and I was actually also looking at the Play with Fire as sort of like a, I don't know, cheap interaction. I find to be pretty good in Arena Cube, and you just want spells that cost not a lot, because there's so many good top ends. Like if you look at the average power level of the 5 and 6 drops in this pack, they all win the game, right?
I mean, they're great. I mean, if you take Play with Fire here, though, I don't know if I could talk to you with all these great picks. You're going to take the one uncommon card here. Okay. I'm shocked you went with Teferi, though. What was your reasoning for Teferi here over like a monocolor card like Nissa or Bankbuster?
It's busted.
It is busted. All right, that's fair. All right, easy explanation.
Yeah, and actually, I am kind of going against my own advice here. If there was a Llanowar Elf, I would slam it in this pack. I would take that over basically all these cards. But I think the power level of all these 5 drops is about the same. And like even stuff like Murderous Rider, Crashing Footfalls, these are cards that start having their effect in the later game. And of these other things that you could play early, there's Play with Fire and I guess Reckoner Bankbuster. I just think Teferi is a more powerful card overall. So I see this as a flat power level pack in which I wanted to just take the best of those relatively flat power level. And I think Teferi was just the one. I mean, just getting the draw an extra card every turn. It's a removal spell. You can do silly looping things with it sometimes. I actually wound up in blue-black splashing for Teferi because I do just think it's that good. And I willed the Horned Lock Whale, ended up playing that guy too.
Oh, that's perfect for that deck.
Yeah.
Did you finish the rounds for this yet? We're still active on this draft.
This draft is still active, but I can say Teferi did help me win a match. I'm currently 2-0, 2 matches, and I don't think I think I'm 4-0 in games. I don't think I dropped the game with it yet.
Nice.
Well, it's sadly time to say goodbye to Modern Horizons 3. I mean, everyone who's a Writhing Chrysalis hater is probably cheering, but honestly, this set had a lot of good stuff besides that one. It's time to award some Chaffies. Now, long-time listeners know that Chaffies are awards for, what do we like from this set? What was going on? I think we should probably just start with the Chaffee Award for the most powerful card. Tyler, what do you think? Where are we giving this Chaffee? Because there are some, there are some clear ones, but there's some other options too. There's
some great cards, and honestly, I think we're going to be in agreement on these potentially. Even from the 17 lands data, these 2 cards dominated the format. We have Guide of Souls, which is the 1-drop Soul Sister. It's going to generate energy and gain new life. And we also have Amped Raptor. This is not a card that was on my radar, but yeah, I mean, who knew? Free casting cards, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I had a game where an opponent, they had a mountain in play. They were on the draw. They go to their turn, play mountain pass. And I'm like, okay, probably playing a red energy deck, whatever. I play my 2-drop, whatever. On my end step, they flash in that knife that like auto equips to a creature and gives you 2 energy. And I was like, oh no, my opponent, they don't know what they're doing. This is going to be an easy win. They untap, play Amped Raptor, and cast Area Auxiliary for free.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, oh my god! Like I went from, in the span of 5 seconds, thinking there's no way I can lose this game, to I can't possibly win this game. And Amped Raptor, I mean, how many cards could do that? But Guide of Souls is really messed up. I agree. That is my pick. And the 17 lands data does confirm it. Just the grossest thing to have on turn 1 in the format. The thing you wanted to see most in your Arena Open or Arena Direct sealed pools, I think, maybe besides Writhing Chrysalis, which I guess Writhing Chrysalis gets an honorable side Chaffy for that.
We have to mention it. Yeah. Mention it.
I mean, it's just so good for a common. And I think there's multiple levers that could have been adjusted, and it's still what, like, bump down its power and toughness, still busted. Make it not have reach, still busted. Have it make 1 less spawn. Now we're talking like all 3 of those things, maybe it's a common.
All right. Moving on to the next format, let's talk about the least powerful cards. What didn't you like from this set, man?
Yeah, this Chaffee goes to a card that actively harms you, and for my pick, it was Charitable Levy, which made... I honestly don't remember if I remember all the text on this card. I think it's non-creature spells cost 1 more. It's the Thalia ability. But then whenever someone casts a non-creature spell, it gets like a money counter on it or something. And then if there are 3 counters on it, you sack it and draw a card or something like that, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever picked that card. I think when we did our sealed, it was immediately tossed to the side. I'm like, this doesn't match the power level of this set.
I don't really understand what it's for. I mean, I'm a diehard White Weenies player. I'm not interested in this card. Like, it just doesn't do the thing that I want.
There was a couple cards like that in this set. And for me, I had 2. Wirewood Symbiote. I mean, it doesn't actively hurt you, but I don't see where this card fit in, especially at uncommon. Like, who's picking this? It's the 1/1 for 1. Return an elf you control to its owner's hand. Untap target creature. Activate only once per turn. It's not hurting you. It's a 1/1 body, but like, what are we doing here? You know?
Yeah, that and the 1/1. What is it? The Drake?
Shrieking Drake was my other pick too. It's just, what are these cards? Who are these for?
Yeah, and I can admit I see ways that you could, in theory, use them. There's that the E-Witness elf. I think it's an elf mutant or something that you could bounce back to hand. But I played so many games this format, and I just never saw that happen. Same with Shrieking
Drake, yeah. It's the 1/1 flyer where it enters the battlefield. You return a creature you control to your owner's hand. It's not a May ability.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I can see like rebuying ETB effects off like Area Auxiliary or something. That's cool. I just never saw it happen. And if it doesn't happen, then was it worth it? I mean, that's the sort of thing that, like, as a cube designer myself, there were some things in my cube that I thought, like, I had a Gates package. This is what this reminds me of. And it was like Maze's End. And I had like 20 gates, but because there are so many gates printed now. And I was like, yeah, this could totally work. It just didn't happen. Yeah. And I was like, I tried
forcing those gates decks in the cube a couple times. But those 540 cubes, it gets a little hard with the specifics there.
Yeah. Next is our Chaffee for the most annoying card. What did you find most annoying in this format?
I mean, we could keep talking about Chrys all day. I have a feeling Chrys is going to show up a couple times on this list. I'm going to step away from Chrys a little bit. A card that I actively disliked seeing people play was Breaker of Creation. It's that 8-drop, 8/4 hexproof from all colors, and that's fine. That's a good card. Right. The issue is it gains you like 20 life when it enters the battlefield, and it's like, all right, the game's reset. I'm so far behind now. This isn't fun anymore. You know, I didn't think about it from the standpoint of lands are colorless. You're gaining 8 life if you overcast this, turn 8.
And I feel like whenever my opponent would have it, I would look at the amount of power on my board and say, all right, I have like a 2/2 and a 3/3. I can try to double block it, but if they have a kill spell, the game just ends because it is Annihilator 2, and I've already sacked 2 lands. And if you have a 4/4, then there's like tricks that they could have, or I mean, worst case, you trade off for it, right? With like 1 card, or you kill it with. Wait, you can't kill it. It has like
hexproof from all colors. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just a frustrating card.
Mhm. My pick was just Writhing Chrysalis. That I mean, it just I don't mind it so much now that the format has sort of evolved and people take it the right frequency. And there are ways to get around it, like a Curse and Marauder is a pretty clean answer to it. But I do find that it really created a lot of frustrating moments where it was like, I built this cool deck. Let me see what blue-white flyers can do. Oh, they have one common that invalidates my entire strategy? Okay.
All the Eldrazi have reach too. That was the most frustrating thing for me because
Yeah.
I love blue white flyers, and there's like I can't get anything through with this.
Even the blue one, the Frostlinks of this set.
Yes,
Petrifying Meddler. That thing had reach for no
had
reason.
reach. All right. Next award we have is best janky combo. What do you got?
I am a diehard Reliquary Tower fan. I want to put this thing in the cube too at some point. I particularly liked it in red-white decks that had both Ajani Fells the Godsire and Ralm the Implicit Maze. So I have set up this lock multiple times where if they play small creatures, you just blink Ralm the Implicit Maze, you deal 2 to all their board, and it all dies. And then you got to be careful letting it go to the second or third chapter. I usually bounce it after the second one. But then there's also a Johnny Fells the Godsire, which kills something with power 3 or greater. And it just so happens that with those 2 cards, they kill basically everything. Like it's either going to die to 2 damage or die to having 3 power. So I had multiple opponents kind of like frustrate Scoop to my red-white control deck. Like that's where I'm at. What about you?
Reliquary. Yeah, it's one of those cards that like just flew under my radar. But when you make it works, and it's so unexpected. One of the members in the Discord actually turned me onto this Reliquary Tower with Dog Umbra. The fact that you can swing in with Dog Umbra on another card and then move it during combat to save the card you want to save. You know what I mean? Like,
whoa,
it's like
awesome.
moving a shield counter around. I know, right? I was like, oh my god, this is perfect.
How do you block that kind of attack? That's insane. Oh, now I see. This is what MH3 does. Like now, I want to try that. Reliquary Tower is just such a sweet thing. I think that might get an extra bonus Chaffee award, just as like such a sick card.
And it's such a card that you never expect to work. You know, it's just one of those cards like, oh, this is 3 mana for this, and here we are, like super excited to move a Dog Umbra around with it.
Yeah. Plus, it has the bonus upside of blanking removal spells at instant speed from your opponent. Their combat tricks got worse for them too. Yeah, really cool card. Glad it enabled some fun stuff. Now, the next Chaffee is Chaffiest Chaff. These are cards that are great and limited, but will likely never see play in any format ever again. For me, I had Scurry Gremlins. What did you have?
It's a great card, though.
Yeah.
I had Smelting Charge Bug. I mean, as we'll get to later, I have a weak spot for the artifact decks in this format. And the Charge Bug just lets you hit through, giving something menace. It's just a fun card.
Yeah. I thought Scurry Gremlins was just a super messed up limited card. I think it was in Paul Cheon's latest YouTube video. He got to blink it with Felia a couple times, and he was like over 20 energy from it. And just doing ridiculous stuff. Really, really cool card. But I mean, maybe like an energy commander deck plays it. I don't really know if that exists though. Like, is that a thing?
I mean, we've had a couple the Fallout precons put us an energy commander, and then the MH3 precons to give us the energy cards. I know a lot of people in my pods have been wanting to build the energy deck, so I'm curious if that will see play.
All right, so maybe it's not totally Chaff, but it's not seeing other like 60 cards.
No, it's not breaking formats like a lot of the cards from this set.
Like even Amped Raptor is, right?
All right, next we have the Whoops. We might have misjudged this card going into it. What do you got for this one, Ben?
I have Marionette Apprentice. I was really low on this card when I first saw it. Because it's a one-sided effect, I wasn't really sure. I don't know. I think something about the Fabricate was throwing me too. Maybe I was thinking like, well, yeah, you could make it into a 2/3, but then they just kill it and then it does whatever. The thing is that they never kill it. It's never like the thing that they kill, because you basically always make the token. And then if they point like a good kill spell at it, even like a Wither and Bloom or something that trades even on mana, you still get that token left behind. And there are a couple ways that you can just sacrifice your board at instant speed, mostly at higher rarities, but Shogungar is one and Warren Soul Trader is another.
Yeah.
And I have combo just Aristocrat combo killed people out with that a couple times, where you just sack your entire board and drain them out.
That deck was actually one of my favorite, like, sneaky decks. The Sword and Wool Trader. Whoa, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And the what's that one card that pings? It drains anytime a token leaves.
Yeah,
because that also
Nightblade.
Yes. It also triggers off your treasures being sacrificed. So you sack your tokens with the Soul Trader. Yeah, it's just a fun. You can drain for like 10 in a turn. It was a fun fact.
Something else with Shogungar, which made Blood, the Marionette Apprentice triggers off artifacts, so it triggers off that too. It triggers off stuff like Eldrazi being sacked to a Spawn Gang commander. Just a lot of depth with this card that I did not expect at the front of it. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of embarrassing now. It was Amped Raptor. I didn't do too much research with this set going into our pre-release. And I guess just downlooked all of the Energy Vector because it just seemed too much of a build around. Yeah. But after seeing how this card's performed, I'm ashamed to admit that, yeah, this is the card that I was like, oops, this card's a lot better than I first gave it credit for.
No, you're right. I sort of took that energy thing as just like, okay, maybe you draw it in the late game and it sort of cycles itself, or how often are you going to have like 4 or 5 energy to hit? Turns out all the time. And as a 2/1 first strike, that body can get blanked by like a 2/3. And then you're sort of just out of luck. But it turns out there was a lot of ways for red-white specifically to pump power. Things like the Conduit Goblin, Smelted Charge Bug, Aerial Auxiliary, all these things, you know, just really, really well with the Conduit Goblin, or with the Amped Raptor, rather. Next up, we've got our top drafted commons. Thank you, 17 Lands, for letting us know this. This is not something we've been able to know in the past, but I'm actually pretty proud of mine. What have you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that shocked. Gift of the Viper was my #1 drafted common, which I was a little shocked because I didn't feel like I played that vector a lot, but that card does so much for 1 mana. It gives Death Touch tokens, or counters, I'm sorry. Reach counters, 1/1 counters, untaps your creature. Yeah. It's just like the all-around, you know, combat trick 1-drop. In my 2-slot Cranial Ram, this was my vector of the set. This is the signpost common for the set.
I'm jealous. That's sick. It's a lot of Ram.
I dropped it 26 times. It's one of my favorites because you can usually get like 4 or 5 of these in a draft. Like, if the vector wasn't open, people were leaving this out. In my 3rd spot, we got a Cursed Marauder. I think it's a great card. You know, 2 mana ETBs. Solid. Yeah, opponent has to sacrifice a non-token. How about you? What do you got for this?
I've got Thraben Charm as my top one. Now, I'm not sure how accurate this is. I actually did a lot of MH3 from my phone, and I did a lot of it in the sealed events too, and even just playing sealed as practice. So as far as draft, this does seem pretty accurate because I was a big fan of white. Thraben Charm was my top one. Just such a flexible card. Even made it into the arena, into the draft shaft cube. Aerial Auxiliary was my next one. I'm proud of this one. I snapped up 24 Aerial Auxiliaries over the course of the format, and honestly, I would take more. Just definitely the best white common, just super strong. Next, I've got Hex Gold Slith. This one's fine. I'm not going to miss it, but I do like playing with it.
Solid card. All right, next on the list, we have Worst Chaff to Lose To. What embarrassing moments do you have to share, Ben?
Oh, yours is actually a lot better, but I have because yours I think is so much worse to lose to. Yeah. But mine was Wing It, the white pump combat trick that gives a flying counter to something, and Wing It. Yeah, it wasn't the most commonly played common out there, but sometimes they'd put it on just like an evasive thing with Menace or something like that, and you'd be like, well, I can't actually block that ever again, and I can't actually kill it right now. Am I just going to die to this? Of course, the worst case is when you have a stable board and they just jump their one big thing and then just smack for lethal.
Yeah, the amount of times I've seen this put on like an 8/9 Hydra.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no fun. Yeah, for me it was Sko Ember Mage. I think this is the first common legendary we've seen. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, you know, being late game and then getting hit in the face for 4 out of nowhere, it just feels really bad. Like, who's playing this?
Yeah. I have been on both the receiving and dealing end of that 4 damage, and Ghostfire Strike can do it too. So that makes 2 ways of dealing 4 to face. Definitely warps the way the late game plays out. I have intentionally jumped to stay at 5 life in formats where I otherwise would not. But that's just the quirk of the format. I like that there's this sort of risk, because I think the red decks do need some sort of reach, as they say, to be able to close out games. Next, we have our pet card, a card that you just found, it really just fit your style. I think I know what you've got.
Oh man, dude, I'm gonna talk about this every time we bring it up. Cranial Ram, Artifact Infinity. It was just such a satisfying way to play. I'm a big fan of just hitting the face, and the fact that you could like turn 4 hit for 7/1. Put it on a flying creature. It's my dream. How about you? I'm a little shocked by your pick on this one. Why don't you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, I had a couple options I was debating between. Refurbished Familiar is second place. I really like the way that card played out. I played plenty of them for 1 mana. That feels great. And then slapping a ram on them, that's where you want to be.
That's the dream.
The dragon, yeah. The dragon actually is in 3rd place. The Affinity Dragon. I forget what it's called. But that guy I really like too. I've cast that for only a couple mana. But I think the card that I just felt like the most like, yes, like I'm happy doing this, was Volt Storm Angel. I love a big dumb life-linking angel. That's just like, actually, you see this art on the wall behind me? Hold on, it's right there.
Yeah,
you can make it out, but that's Baneslayer Angel. I love smacking for 4 in the air with lifelink and vigilance. It just feels so good. It tickles that like innate
serotonin boost.
Yeah, it's like this game is going well. Like this game is going better than it was. I just swung 8 life in the air, and it can pump other stuff too. I really enjoyed the way this card played out, and I will admit it's not the best card. I mean, I wouldn't actually take it over even something like a static prison. I would slam over it, but I do really like the way it plays out, and I was always happy to put it in my deck.
All right, next up on the list, instead of pet card, we have card pet. This is a card that you would, I guess, like to have in real life as your little companion.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe not old, but what do you have for this one, Ben?
Well, I went kind of big on this one. I went Dreamtide Whale. I feel like having a whale that can turn into a cloud would be pretty advantageous. Never deal with traffic again. I assume it can go on both air and sea. So, you're covered for everything.
Just gotta find a way to proliferate. You're gonna fall a bit.
Oh, all right. So that's true. I will have to be casting several spells each turn. I also really like the way the whale played out. I had a cool blue-white counters deck. I never really got to go deep into that vector, but the Soulfire, whatever it was, the uncommon for that one, guy that puts Exalted counters on for energy. I had a deck where I was able to put Exalted and 1/1 counters on all my creatures, and then I slammed a Dreamtide Whale and cast a second spell, and got to proliferate all the Exalted counters and all the 1/1 counters and the time counters. It was a lot of fun, and not a vector that I had gotten to explore before, really. So I thought that was pretty fun. I would absolutely fly around on that whale. I'm assuming that when it becomes a cloud, I don't just fall through it. How about you?
For this one, I mean, I went pretty basic on this one. You got to go Faithful Watchdog. Little cutie.
Oh, yeah.
He's here to protect you. You can't go wrong with him.
I'm surprised neither of us went with Writhing Chrysalis.
Oh, yeah. I'd love that. Wake up in the morning to that beautiful face. Sacrifice one of my children to make them a little stronger.
Next up, we've got the Banhammer, a card that we think the format would be better without. Now, there's a lot of options here. I think this one is obviously just Chrysalis for both of us, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What else really kind of like? What else made you upset to see? Like, even though most of the mythics and rares, you're like, okay, that's fair. I can deal with that. But Chrysalis at common, the amount of times you see it, if you're seeing somebody play Gruul, you're like, all right, I know Chrysalis is coming.
Yeah, and we don't need to beat a dead Chrysalis here, but this card is just it's just so pushed. Like, as we said before, I think if it was instead, let's call it a 4 mana, let's make it a 2/2, no reach, ETB makes 1 spawn, and then it still has to put a counter on for the spawn. So then it bumps itself up. This is Modern Horizons. Let's say it still makes 2. Let's say it's a 2/2, it doesn't have reach, and it still makes 2. I still think that would be one of the best commons.
Yeah. Of course, it's stupid. Because it essentially costs 2. It's paying for itself back, pumping itself. Silly card.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Serving to ramp into 7 mana the following turn. It just, what a card.
It sets you up.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about our favorite vectors, even though I have talked about mine multiple times this format already.
I really enjoyed a couple vectors in this set. I really enjoyed energy. I really enjoyed playing Big Eldrazi, just the teamer Eldrazi. But I think the vector I enjoyed the most was the hidden one, blue-black sacrifice, with sort of like a draw 3 built in. My favorite deck I played this format was a Reform, Warren Soul Trader, Chthonian Nightmare, Accursed Marauder. Just it was on such a different playing field than basically every other deck that I've gotten to play. It was the only time I felt like I was doing that thing. It just came together once. But the fact that that exists in this format, a thing that's so specific that it only comes together with a couple high rarity cards that no one else wants, just what a cool, unique aspect to a format to have. That's the sort of thing that like that tells you that this set is replayable. That's something that in 10 years, if you ask me if I wanted to draft MH3, in the back of my mind, I go, oh, I could draft blue-black sack again? Just that inkling of a chance. I thought that was such a cool deck. And
so many things to discover in this. Yeah, like when we did the sealed event, like I was like putting the pieces together in my mind. And even to this point now, like a month later, I'm still connecting different dots and different ways that we can kind of build the decks. It's a really great format. I mean, I don't really need to talk about my favorite vector here too much. I love the red black affinity decks. That was my go-to draft. It's consistent, fun. You know, it felt so good to slam card like that. Like you said, the dragon for 1 mana felt so good to play.
Now, how about our least favorite vectors?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I'm a little ashamed of this as well. I really didn't like the energy builds too much. You know, they're very strong. I just don't think that way, I guess, when I'm drafting. I'm a very, aggressive. I'm a Boros mage at heart. I like to attack. I like to swing in. I like to deal damage to face. A lot of these energy decks, you really needed to set yourself up for success, set yourself up for the long game. They're like tempo-y mid-range decks. It's just not my play style.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think red-white could actually split that way, right? You could have your hyper aggro beatdown deck, but then like the red-white deck I mentioned earlier, where you're grinding them out with Reliquary and doing sort of weird flickery stuff. And I think the Jeskai energy decks, those ones really pushed into like mid-range to tempo-y nonsense. And those ones I never had that much success with, despite finding them kind of fun to play. I just didn't really do that well with them.
I'm just not, and the thing is, like, it's a whole nother like resource to manage now with energy. Magic's a game about resources, building your land, ramping it up. And the energy is it's too much for me. It sounds like, like I'm not a bad Magic player, but I just like not to think about additional resources and the kind of the calculating. Yeah. How about you? Yeah. What were you feeling in this format?
Honestly, I think what did it was the drafting process of red-green Chrysalis, like Chrysalis.deck. I think that when you open a pack, your eyes shouldn't immediately scan for an uncommon or for a common and see if it's there and then just take it regardless of what else there is. Like, I think this format, it does have so much complexity and so many cool things to unlock. And if you're just supposed to take, because let's be honest, I have fun when I win. I have fun when I'm not winning too, but I have fun when I win. And I would like to win games of Magic, and apparently the best way to do that in this format was to put 1 million Writhing Chrysalis in your deck. But that gets old, that gets boring, that gets stale, right? So I would open a pack for a draft, be like, all right, what are we cooking up this time? Writhing Chrysalis? All right, I guess we're doing that again. And I'd wind up in a pretty good teamer deck. I'd go 6-3 and be like, all right, that was that. So I just found that that's my one knock against the format. And I think it is better in pod, actually. We had a pretty good pod draft of this. And I'm curious to see how it goes when we draft some of these boxes that I'm getting in. But I don't know. Just maybe one small knock against the format.
All right. Next, we have Cards Never Cast. I have a couple for this format. What do you got for this one, Ben?
I think I got to cast a lot of the stuff. I didn't cast some of the random commander nonsense. Never cast some of the weird meant for constructed rares. Harbinger of the Seas, the Flares. I didn't really cast many of them. The one thing that I'm sad that I never got to do is Madness Emrakul. I think you can do it. I think it's possible if you have the like a million spawn generators and then like the blue looter or the red rare that pitches cards, a party thrasher. That there's definitely ways to do it. I haven't seen evidence of anyone doing it. Maybe someday. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, we've both drafted this set a lot, and I think we've seen pretty much every card in draft. The one card that I miss and I wish I was able to cast is the new Ulamog. That puts the counters on it, gets Annihilator equal to those counters. I drafted it twice, but never casted it. I want to just see that card work. I want to see it go off. That's the one thing I really missed out on. We still have a little while left of this draft, or this format. We'll see. We'll see if I can make it happen.
I do have bad news for you. Opponents don't usually let you attack with it. They usually just scoop. You never get to see the Annihilator trigger go off. The game just is over.
I just want to see it on the field.
Yeah. And last but not least, some Chaffy awards for all the Draft Chaff cube inclusions from this set. We've got a bunch. We actually added all 10 landscapes. Those replaced the gates. Womp womp. But the landscapes have already proven to be a great addition. Distinguished Conjurer, which is perfect for the Blink deck and for the green-white twin deck, which has some Soul Sistery elements that cares about going infinite with life gain and life drain. Thraben Charm was just such a flexible card. It had to make its way in. Replaced Kabira Takedown, I think. Serum Visionary and Area Auxiliary to actually bump up the blue-white deck a little bit. It needed a little bit of help. And both Visionary and Area Auxiliary are just strong cards with ETB effects. There are other things that I'm thinking about, like we mentioned Essence Reliquary, and even cards like, I'm actually looking at Crabomination too. I'm worried it might be too strong, but it would be pretty sick to blink that, right?
Oh, amazing. You have a free cast vector in the draft as well, right? I mean, that doesn't really fit that vector, but it is free cast.
It does mean that there are 13, 10, 12 mana instants and sorceries floating around, so getting the Crabominate one of those out of your opponent's graveyard, I don't know.
Pretty funny.
Could be cool. With that, it's time to say farewell to the format. You got any final thoughts? Any?
I mean, we've said a lot. It's a great set. I'm having a great time with it. You know, I look forward to drafting it in the future. I look forward to using your 4 boxes that you won. Yeah, I mean, the only negative things I can think of are the fact that, like, it does, these modern sets do create a rotating modern constructed format. You know, like it completely altered the modern format with this set coming out.
Good point.
And while it's fun for us as limited players, it's not great, and I don't think it's healthy in the long run. And my wallet doesn't like playing this in person. But
what, you're not soaking in Nadu Summer? The bird is the word I hear.
I know, I'm really upset because I'm a big birder, as we'll learn more as we get into Bloomburrow. I was really looking forward to Nadu, and now I can't even admit that I like
ruined for you.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry. Once it gets banned, it's gonna, like, all the foil copies are gonna be worthless, so you'll be fine. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do think in-pod is the best way to do it, and best of 3 also best way to do it. Great set, not good for your wallet. Don't really know why we had to. Whatever. Supply and demand. I do wish it was a little more accessible. That's all. For such a great format, I wish it was easier for more people to play it.
Couldn't agree more.
You want to take this?
Yeah, sure. All right. As we say farewell to MH3, a new season starts. Let's talk about Bloomburrow for a minute, Ben. What are you looking forward to in the next set? Spoilers are pretty much over, it looks like, at this point.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of bunnies. Big fan of elk, which is not one of the main archetypes, whatever, but there's a couple, at least. There's at least 2. Raccoons, birds. Honestly, I'm excited for these nonsense. Yeah, okay. But birds are going to be a big theme on the show, I think. I'm excited for these creature types. Now, Typal is like, we haven't had a Typal type set in a while. I think maybe Ixalan was last time we really had like the main thing is the types. And that was like 4 of them, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like almost like a Ravnica set where we have 10 guilds represented here. Like each color pair is its own animal. It's exciting.
Yeah. And the power level, I'm excited for it to be. I like playing complex sets, but I'm not opposed to dumbing it down a little bit.
I need to give my
Yeah.
brain a break. I agree with the power cooldown kind of. Like MH3 was a lot. I had a great time. But I'm exhausted from it. I just want to play some big creatures, swing in with one card, not really have to think about my energy,
Mhm.
And birds. I'm very excited for birds.
Of
A
course.
little background for me: I'm a big birder. One of my second big hobby is actively looking for birds. I'm actually wearing my New Jersey Audubon hat today, which is
Nice.
a local chapter of like preservation and tracking.
What's that on the? Let me hold on. Let me see the logo. Is that a great blue
It's a
heron?
it is a great blue heron. Look at you, man. You're also a birder.
My brother does the World Series of birding every year, so I've picked
Yes.
up tidbits. It's funny, like just from being around him. Sometimes I'll like sort of unconsciously know what a bird is I'll never get the name quite right, but I'll be like, is that like a loon or something? And he'll be like, sort of, yeah.
My wife's the same way. It's forced learning, just like
Yeah.
learning by proximity.
Yeah. Osmosis, those birds all the way in.
It's the most-
Now, if you'd like to ask a listener a question, you can do so in Discord. What are you wondering? What are you thinking about? What's on your mind? These could be magic related or non-magic related. Now that the show's back up and running, the channel's back open, so hop on in there and whoever asks questions, I'm going to toss you some arena codes. We've got a million of these things laying around. May as well get rewarded for thinking up a question to ask, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of new faces in the Discord as well. Welcome. Please ask us some questions. It could be about anything. You could ask me about birds. I'd love to tell you about birds.
Now, how about Teferi and Tibble, our roses and thorns for the week?
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your Teferi this week?
I think we're going to have pretty similar ones for this because we both went away for the last couple days. I was down in Cape May, South Jersey. Me and my wife were celebrating. It's called a baby moon. We have a baby coming in October, so we're giving ourselves a last minute of rest. Also, Cape May, we're going to keep coming back to it, is one of the best birding locations in New Jersey,
It is,
arguably
yeah.
the East Coast. So we did enjoy that. Me and Ben we're doing an RCQ this upcoming Saturday. I'm really looking forward to that. It's been a while since I've done one. As for Tibble, I was in South Jersey at Cape May, but it also rained a majority of the weekend. It cooled everything off, but you can't really do much in the rain. And when you pay to go somewhere, it kind of sucks to just be trapped in the apartment.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was in a very similar situation. I was away in Acadia National Park, so we sort of swapped directions. I'm usually a little south of you, but I went a lot more north. But Acadia was awesome. Loved it. Got rained on for a day. That was fine. We were camping the entire time. And I will now transition to my Tibble, which was that I hate wet, damp camping gear. The nothing gets under my skin like humid camping gear. And it's like, I want to dry it out, but I have nowhere to put it. But I can't wait that day because I have to roll it up back up in the thing, and then I got to travel it, and the car is going to smell like mildew.
There's no escape,
Yeah. But back to the Teferi side, it was funny. I didn't have very good internet connection while I was there. I was hiking for a lot of it and camping, and I kept seeing, like, every once in a while I'd get like a blip of service, and I'd see a bunch of people joining the Discord. I'm like, oh my god, I got to catch up. Everyone's posting their favorite cards. I still have to catch up on a lot of those. So now back to Tibble, the fact that I couldn't answer everyone's new messages. So people that hopped in Discord, we were not ignoring you. We were just on vacation.
Bad timing.
Yeah. Well, that does it. MH3, see you later. Get out of here, Chrys. Cute animals right around the corner. Thank you for listening. Hop in the Discord. Let us know what you thought of our picks, various other things. Ask us some bird nonsense. I think birds are going to become a bigger part of the show for the next several months. So let us know. Are you a diehard birder as well? Patrons, thank you as always. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/draftchaffpod. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter. We are also draftchaffpod there. We post all sorts of nonsense. And that does it for this week. Happy drafting. Okay, quick sign off. I was just rewatching Adventure Time with my girlfriend. She had not seen it before.
What?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. What a treat, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, what a trip.
Yeah. So this is my maybe second or third full watch of the show. Love it. Big fan personally. And I got to see someone who loves it. My girlfriend was really into it. Watch the last season and then finale.
Yes.
And just, man, it still hits.
It's a great show. Have you checked out the Fiona and Cake spinoff yet?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man, dude, I'm
Real
so excited.
good.
I heard they're coming back with a second season. I really hope so.
Yeah.
What a great series. That was one of the first shows me and my wife actually watched together, because we've been together since we were 15. So we were
that's
like
awesome.
high school freshmen, like watching Adventure Time when it was like live.
Oh, that's so good.
I had the Finn backpack.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
I was actually talking to my girlfriend about doing Finn and Marceline for Halloween.
Perfect.
Yeah, she's real like Marceline vibes, we could say.
Oh,
and
nice.
I think I embody some aspects of Finn. I got the hair, you know.
There you go. I was gonna dye it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I will have to shave. That's unfortunate, but unless I go for adult Finn.
I was gonna say, adult Finn's got a glorious beard, man. You could probably pull that one off.
I gotta get a little more jacked to be adult Finn, though. He's huge.
Gotta lose an arm too. I mean, spoilers.
That's true. That's fine. The show's old. But now here's my question: what color identity is Finn?
I guess it depends what age you're looking at too, right? Like I'm thinking like early episodes. I'm thinking mono white. You know, I mean, especially he's the only human. You got to be mono white human, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. You don't think he has any red in there when he was?
Well, that's what I was going to say. As he ages, I think we're going to start seeing some white or some red fill in his color vector. Mm-hmm. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I've never really thought about that.
But towards the end of the show, he takes on a very mature, and he even this. I mean, I just watched it, so I know. But he even mentions how in his youth he was much more prone to aggression and violence, but now he's acting as the pacifist. So is that some blue?
Oh, Jeskai Finn in the end. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but he does also have like some nature aspects. I think actually I would go Jeskai.
Yeah, I agree. Jeskai's nice. I mean, you could even see a 5-color in the end. You know, there's some times Finn, you know, made some pretty not the best decisions, but
yeah,
that's fun to think about.
So what about Jake?
What would you? Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you gonna put Jake at? Oh, Jake's so tough. Jake really screams mono red to me. Like he's just kind of like, yeah. I mean, not in the like aggressive, but in the kind of like free spirit aspect of red. You know,
in a similar way, I would actually say red green.
Okay, yes, I think I do agree with that,
because I think if he were to be a magic card, there'd have to be some food on it. I think he's everyone knows he's a cook. It's a big aspect of him, but he is also like I mean, he's a battering ram. He can be anything. So
yes, adapt would be nice on him. Blue. You know, put 1 counters, act as like expanding.
Oh yeah. Now, yeah. So he'd have to grow somehow. That's a good point. What about Bubblegum?
Oh, I think she's an Izzet mage. Oh, actually, no, but I don't know. She also has black in her identity. I think she is Chrysis. I was just about to say, dude, those dictator vibes definitely scream black mage.
Yeah, but I agree with blue red and like, oh, but maybe, but she has some green aspects too. Like she's a naturalist. She's made of.
She's creating life.
She's a creator. Is she everything but white? Oh man, Bubblegum's hard.
Bubblegum is hard because the more you learn about her, the messier things get. Like in the beginning, she's just this little happy princess, and by the end of the series, she's this dictator. You know, brainwashing. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. How about Marceline then too? Since we were just talking about Marceline,
obviously she does have black.
Yes,
but she is also loving. I would actually say she's Mardu.
Okay. Yeah, because humanity comes in. Yeah, as the show progresses, I can see the white coming through that.
Mm-hmm. She's fiery, son of a demon, whatever. But yeah, she is a vampire, but also half demon. But
she also doesn't suck blood. You know, she's not like the true aspect of a vampire.
True, but I think she's definitely got black in her identity. I would say Mardu. I actually think we can look at what she doesn't have. I don't think she's a blue mage at all, and I don't think she's a green mage at all. So
she's very emotion driven. Yeah.
Now here's one more for you, and I think we'll end on this because this is going to be the most complicated one. A flip card. Simon Petrikov on one side, Ice King on the other. What are the identities on both sides?
Oh, that's so tough. I would say, I feel like Simon has to start white and then he flips and loses his humanity. But I don't know what color pairs they'd be. Oh,
is he blue on his front side? Because Simon, he was a researcher.
He is. He's an intellectual. So I would say, maybe Azoria. Yeah, but he has to lose the white because I feel like he loses his humanity when he flips.
So blue white into mono blue, maybe.
Yeah, because he's not malicious, you know.
No.
That's tough.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is tough.
Listener, let us know what you think, because honestly, this one's a stumper. I would say blue white into mono blue, or maybe blue white into blue green.
So, like on his front side, he has to care about artifacts because he's a
Oh, that's true.
yeah. Then he flips into like an ice mage, where he's like an icy manipulator type. You know, he could flip into an artifact maybe that is like an icy manipulator tapping things down.
Oh, that all right. Yeah, he would have the icy effect. That's sick. We gotta get a custom set going.
Man, I would have spent the next couple hours thinking about this now.